Hello everybody. Today we are going to look at one of our focus areas and we're going to walk through what the best way is to utilize one of these focus areas when you are doing your own self-directed learning. So when you are here in our Nearpod that you have, you're going to go ahead and this is saying like, hey, your focus area is on plot. This is what you're working on in your stuff if you have picked plot as one of your goals to work on. You move over using these blue arrows on either side of the page. It will bring you over to both sides. So our first objective for plot is defining the terms for setting, exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, resolution, or denouement, which this is all when we use that plot mountain diagram, which we use in class. So when we're looking here, this is where we're just going to be taking notes in your notebook. So this is where you need to get your own pencil and paper out and utilize this to help you. So if you're looking here on this guy, move me over here. This is where I just want you to take your basic notes. So if you look here, you're going to scroll down and you're going to see what each of our definitions are. So just like I've taught you how to do our columns, where we have something on the left for where our word is, and on the right we have the definition. You'll go through and write the different definitions of plot. So here's our plot mountain that we talked about. Then you have your exposition, rising action, climax, falling action, resolution, identifying what plot is, and then there is an example there on the end of what a basic plot mountain might look like based on a very similar story you may know with Cinderella. So here is where I just want you to utilize the slideshow of just taking your notes, because you have to have notes before you can move on into the nitty-gritty stuff. So here we go. After you've taken your notes, I want you guys to do some practice. So this is a basic matching game. So you're going to be looking at here, so how the problem conflict of the story is resolved. Okay, I know that that is my resolution. So I'm going to go there and then I can play my matching game. When the author takes the reader back in time for a memory, that might be a flashback. So you're going to go through and play your matching game with all based on all of the definitions that you just got on the previous page when you were going out here. Now, if you for some reason were like, I didn't want to write those down, remember you have your blue arrows, so you can always go back and make sure you have those notes to come forward, because this is to help you, not to hurt you. We want to make sure that you are doing your best and learning through these strategies. Now, if we move on to here, this is where you're going to watch a video. Now, as you watch the video, you will notice that at some point in the video, we're not going to watch the whole thing here, but as you get to a point where it's going to pause and it's going to ask you a question. What information do you find out about the exposition and introduction? You can expand it. And this is going to be an open-ended question for you. On your mode, I'm just on preview mode. On your mode, it will have an area for you to type in your answer. Each one of these little blue dots here is a question, so make sure you are paying attention to your video so that you are answering in the best way possible. This data is collected for me to see what you are learning and what you know. Moving on to the next one here, you have yet another one of those videos that's going to ask you and have you pause various spots.
The rising action.
Sometimes it is going to show you a multiple choice. So sometimes not only is it open answer, but there might be multiple choice. So which is not an element of plot. And then based on A, B, C, D, E, or F, you will choose which one of those is not a part of your plot mountain. So that is another option while watching the video. You'll have either an open-ended or you will have multiple choice as your answer. Here is an activity. It's called the time to climb. This is where it's going to be a little bit of a quiz for you, and it's going to, as you go through it, kind of like if you were doing a Kahoot, you will read your question. Readers would learn about the setting and important background information of the characters during which part of the plot line, and then you will choose, and like, if I think it's falling action, I would choose that guy, and then it would progress me on through the game. So this one is just a little review game based on that first objective. Because now we're moving on to objective 2. So here you're identifying examples of areas of the plot mountain within short stories. So now that is why we did a little review. We're moving on to objective 2. Here again, you're going to have another video that it will have you watch. This one is about Little Red Riding Hood. Well, it's going to be asking you questions that you've identified while watching the story based on plot. So here, if we were at this question in particular, it's going to ask, what is the conflict of the story? So based on how much you've watched in your video so far, you need to identify what the conflict or the problem of Little Red Riding Hood is at this point in this version of the story. Okay, so we move on. Here we have another one of your slideshows where it's just going through and doing an example of a story. So talking about what exposition is, okay, how that conflict drives it, and going a little bit into more detail about what each one of those pieces do in a plot diagram, and then applying it to the story. So now you've got Lion King, a very familiar story to most people, and you will then be able to see how they have broken down what all of the elements of plot are for Lion King. When we move here, this is where you get to do a little interactive piece. So here's where you get to watch a video up here where you have the 3 little pigs. And then here is an example of our plot mountain that we have been working on here in class. So then you will be able to use your tools here at the bottom. You can use a text box tool where you can move your text box, and then you can physically type stuff into each text box area. You could use the picture tool or the drawing tool. Any of the following things would be able to help you to fill out your plot mountain. You just have to pull down this guy to continue to go back to the story if ever you need to go back and forth between those two. So this is really that fun interactive piece so that you can do this in this way as well. We also have our paper copies in class if you would like that as well. Right, so that was kind of your assessment piece at the end of Objective 2, and now we're moving into Objective 3. So here for Objective 3, you're going to identify how characters respond or change as the plot progresses. Now this objective is very important because this is what gets you to that 3.0 level on our scale. So all the elements of plot are that level 2.0, and so now here we get to that level 3.0 to get us to knowing how a character actually is changing because things have happened in the story. So here, this is a fantastic Shmoop episode where it's talking about exactly what that means. What does it mean for a character to change? Is it because they change their clothes, because they change what their hair looks like, or is it how they actually change as a real person? So for this video is another one of those really good teaching tools and explanations, so you need to make sure you're paying attention, taking notes on your notebook as you go through and watch the video and answer the questions. Here is another one of our little slideshows to help you go through and find out what all these things mean. Thinking about what are the actions or decisions that characters make. Here's some examples from different stories that we have talked about. And going through and looking at these different examples to help you get a better analysis of how a character changes as you go through. And finally, here's another one. We're going to take some more notes. So it reminds you, hey, you got to make sure you have that notebook back out. Because here, if you look right here you can click on open a web page and it should open you to a new source. But this is where you are going to look at your web page and take some notes on those pieces. So when it opens up into your area, I want you to take what a character is and the definition. Analysis, definition, characterization, definition. And when it opens here, it's going to show you the whole document. It just wouldn't load because of the PDF on just this site. So make sure you hit click and it will reopen on your laptop in your Chromebook in a new spot for you to do those note takings. Then again, after you take your notes, you can do your matching game like I showed you earlier of what a conflict is, climax, matching the definition with the term to help you with that practice of knowing what those words mean. Okay. Finally, we're going to review. So make sure you're reviewing your notes in your notebook, your studying plot with your accountability buddy that you have chosen. Once you're confident, you can come up to me and ask any question you have, and I will do a little quick check with you before I let you take the plot focus area quiz. I hope this was helpful in understanding how the best way to go about learning through a focus area. And now it is up to you to be successful, to have your joy, and to hopefully reach your goal for plot. Good luck, make positive choices, and we will hopefully be quick checking you soon.